Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Usman. I am working in Center of Data Science and I am recording this vlog about the topic data security, privacy, certain threats, viruses, uh, etc. CIA triad. Therefore, today's vlog is beneficial for the computational sciences students as well as anyone who will see this content on my YouTube channel. So let's start by the term known as computer security. Broadly speaking, computer security involves many kind of securities. Now, what are these securities? Information security, system security, data security, similarly cyber security. Now, wherever there will be the involvement of internet, then it is known as the cyberspace, and the security to protect your internet resources. I am talking about resources. Why I have selected or chosen this word known as resources? Because it covers the data, the files, the equipment, the hardware, the software, the network, the infrastructure, everything. Therefore I have chosen this word resource to define the computer security. Therefore, cyber security is basically the security of internet, the resources of internet. And whenever we will talk about this subject, the information security or system security, normally in our universities we basically taught a book written by William Starling about cryptography and computer security. Now, the very first chapter begins about a CIA. The computer security starts with a word known as CIA triad. Now, let me first explain that word, and then inshallah we will move towards the certain specific modern viruses, and then I will end this vlog. Now, the first thing in CIA triad is basically confidentiality. The second is integrity. The third is availability. Now, William Starling in his book further subcategorized confidentiality into two terms. One is known as data confidentiality, the other is privacy. But before talking about confidentiality, I will talk about data security. What is data security, or what is resource security, what is computer security? So any kind of mechanism, any kind of approach, algorithm, kind of strategy you will adopt to protect your data or your resource from unauthorized access is called computer security, data security, or resource security. Now, what are different kind of mechanisms you will adopt to protect your data from unauthorized access? For example, you can apply encryption and decryption. Now, what encryption and decryption will do, or what ciphering or deciphering, both are the equivalent terms. Encryption, decryption, ciphering and deciphering, to make some readable content to incomprehensible, unreadable, that is known as encryption, and to take back or reverse the process of encryption is known as decryption. That is to make the incomprehensible text or unreadable text to be readable. That is known as encryption or decryption. Confidentiality is basically to protect unauthorized access to your data is confidentiality, and privacy is something else. Now, what is privacy? Privacy is the data collection, storing, who will collect the data, and the person who is collecting that data must be held responsible to do not reveal that information to some unauthorized person. Now, for the example of privacy, let me explain that a worker who is working in a medical lab. Now, if some patient visits that lab and he gave some sample his, let's suppose, blood sample. And now after analyzing, after applying different methods and processes, the worker in that lab will come to know certain results about that specific test of that patient. Now it is the responsibility of the lab and all those workers in that lab that they will not reveal this information to anyone, and sometimes they will have to hide this information from the patient himself, because that information is only intended to know the doctor. Similarly, it is the responsibility of the doctor not to reveal that information specifically. However, in generalized way, he may use that information by keeping the name in by hiding the name. He can use that name in general form. The person will not be feel shame if someone know about that this person is affected by this disease. Therefore, this concept is known as privacy. Similarly, talking about the next term, which is integrity. Now, what is integrity? There is further division made by William Starling in his book is about data integrity and system integrity. Now, what does integrity means? Now, let's suppose that if you have collected some data and you have collected that data in certain format. Let's suppose you have Word files. Now, if some unauthorized person will alter that data, will distort that data, will make it change the format or modify the contents, that is basically the violation of the integrity. Let me discuss an example of modern threat, which is ransomware, and how it is happened that someone will access your files on your system, and he is a hacker. He accesses your system, the security of your system is compromises, and he altered all of the files. When you double click your file, now file's integrity is violated and you are unable to read that file, and the file was originally written in English, but now you are observing that it has some changed format and it is either in Chinese or some other language, and you are unable to read that file, and that file is of utmost importance for you. Now you will definitely want to get back that file in the original format. Now what is happened? It is the violation of the integrity. So any mechanism adopted to protect the integrity is also falls under the computer security, because you don't want to alter the integrity of the file. Similarly, whenever we will talk about the system integrity, now let's suppose the system is intended to do certain specific task, and let's suppose someone boot up that system. Now that system is affected by a virus known as boot sector virus. Now that system is again and again booting, and you are unable to use that system because you want to do certain task on your computer, but you are unable to do that task. Now what is happened? It is basically the integrity of the system is violated. Now any mechanism that will protect the integrity of the system as well as data is basically used to secure your resource of computer, of your data. So you will also make your system responsible, or you will do some sort of security mechanism to do not violate the integrity of your system or data. The third term is availability. Now what is availability? Availability is basically that if the data is kept somewhere, or there is certain hardware, equipment is somewhere, and the authorized person want to access that file, the authorized person want to access that system, that resource, that hardware. Now he will be allowed to use that system, he will be allowed to use that data. That is known as availability. And the violation, if some person is unable to use that resource, you to read that file, that is basically the violation of the availability. Therefore this is the CIA triad which I have talked to you, and now I am basically talk about two different concepts of computer security known as threat and the attack. Now, what is the difference between threat and attack? Now, threat is basically the potential vulnerability, the weakness in your system, the way where someone will attack your system, that is known as threat. And the attack is basically an assault, the action taken by some hacker or some person using any kind of means, whether it is physical attack, whether it is some network based attack, or any kind of attack which will basically violates the computer security, the CIA, which will basically violates the CIA triad. That is basically an attack. Now, you can find out different terms about these security terms in an RFC, which you can find out on the website of IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force. The RFC number I will mention here is basically 2828. That is basically Internet Security Glossary terms, and you can find out the information of threat as well as attack on this reading this RFC. Now, moving further, I have basically written certain information before regarding this vlog, so I will take into account. Now, there are again two terms. One is authentication, the other is authorization. What is authentication? Authentication is to confirm the genuine identity, revealing that he is that entity. Now, knowing and confirming, validating that person is known as authentication. While authorization is basically a written document or something else that who is able to have access up to what level of certain files. We basically have read, write, similarly read only, write only access, whether we are modifying that content or not. This kind of information is written about the files, and similarly to which folder, what kind of access we have. So that will be written in a file, and that is known as the authorization, who is intended to do a specific task on that certain resource. So these are the certain terms related to the data security. Now, there is an open system interconnection security architecture also mentioned in that book, and there are three basically concepts in this OSI security architecture. One is attack, and the other is mechanism, and the third one is the service. Now, what is attack? Attack is, I have discussed earlier, that any kind of assault to your security compromise, which will compromise your security, which will compromise the CIA triad, is known as attack. While mechanism, any kind of approach which is used to protect, which is used to secure, which is used to protect and secure the CIA triad, to make secure your data, make secure your resources, is known as mechanism. The third is the service. Whenever two parties are sending transmissions, then any kind of approach which is used to secure the data on transmission is known as the security service. So these are the three major concepts in OSI security architecture. Now, moving forward, I will discuss two kind of attacks mentioned by the William Starling. One is passive attacks, the other is the active attacks. Now, passive attacks are basically those kind of attacks which are difficult to detect. Why difficult to detect? You will come to know there are two categories mentioned by William Starling about these passive attacks. One is release of message contents. What does it mean? That if someone is calling to someone and the third intruder is listening what he is talking about, no, he is basically aware of the contents of the message. That is release of message contents, and it is the but he is not doing anything. He is only listening that conversation. He is not altering that conversation. He is not interrupting between their conversation. He is only knowing what is the what kind of data or what kind of call is being transmitted or being done between two parties. The second is basically the Traffic analysis. You only come to know that what is the size of data. Let's suppose you will only come to know that this person called this person for this much time, for 2 hours, for 1 hour, for 30 minutes, for 15 minutes, or what is the transmission size in GBs between two sending and receiving parties. Now the contents are not basically readable. The intruder is not, the attacker is not able to read the contents of the file. That is basically the traffic analysis, and both of these attacks are falls under the category of passive attacks. While in active attacks, there are basically the four categories. One is masquerade. What is masquerade? Impersonation. Someone is reveals himself to be someone else. He is impersonating himself. That is known as the masquerade. Replay, that capturing certain packets and then after some time resending, retransmitting to the sender party to make an authorized access mechanism is known as the replay, while modification is the attack in which the intruder or attacker will basically capture the certain data, certain packets, sniff certain packets and then modify the packets and then transmit these modified packets. The fourth is the denial of service. Denial of service attack is a very common attack nowadays, and it is basically done using an approach of a zombie or bot, and the bot will make the botnet while zombie will make the zombie net. Now what is zombie and what is a bot, I will discuss after some time. Keep with me in this vlog. So what is denial of service? Let's suppose there is a server. The server's responsibility is to respond on certain request. The client will request a certain page or certain resource on server, but the server is not there to process the request genuinely, because the server is kept busy by some compromised requests, by some compromised computer who will generate so many requests to that server. Now server is busy in these kind of fake request, and the genuine user is not able to get the response from that server. That is known as DOS, denial of service attack. And nowadays this attack is generated by using distributed denial of service attack. And how distributed? Because a large number of computers, these computers are compromised. They are used to bombardment the request on the server, so the server will be kept busy. Though the server will be kept busy with this bombardment of the requests, so the genuine user do not want to get the will not get the response. The genuine user will be denied of such service. Now further moving to certain viruses, I will discuss that certain specific viruses are basically first I will discuss about rootkit virus. Any malicious software, any malicious code which is intended to harm the resources, the computer, the data, the equipment by keeping its identity hidden is known as rootkit virus. And I think that mostly viruses will fall under this category. Now social engineering is a terminology which is used nowadays, and phishing, spoofing, wishing, smishing, whaling, all these attacks are basically social engineering type of attacks. What is social engineering? In which a person is compromised. Let's suppose that someone may call you and he basically attack you in such a way that you will feel that the caller is the legitimate one, he is the genuine person, and the caller is impersonating himself to be someone else, and you have been trapped. You have been trapped by that caller. That is social engineering. Now, after some time, when I will disclose further categories of the social engineering attacks, you will come to know what is social engineering. Let's suppose the phishing. First of all, I will talk about what is phishing. Phishing is a cyber attack in which attackers send deceptive emails or messages or voice calls pretending to be from the legitimate or the genuine organization to steal your credentials, to get your data for financial benefits, to get your OTPs, one-time passwords, which basically comes in your inbox, in your messages, etc. Phishing. Similarly, spoofing. What is spoofing and what is phishing? Spoofing is basically the changing the header or the you can say that the way. Let's suppose you alter your packet, you alter your header, you alter your cell number in such a way that whenever you will call someone, whenever you will send an email, it looks legitimate. It looks legitimate or it looks genuine to the receiver. So the receiver is trapped that this email, this call, this packet is from the genuine organization or the authentic organization. He is trapped. Now this kind of attack is known as spoofing. Now spoofing is then used for phishing attacks. There's a lot of types of phishing. Smishing is also the when you sending SMSs from some unauthorized person pretending that these messages are generated by the authorized entity or organization to trap your receiver. That is basically smishing. Similarly, if you are calling someone to get the credentials, to get certain information, to get certain data, that is known as vishing. Similarly, whaling is a specific type of attack in which the organization's either main entity, the CEO or someone who is very rich, you are trapping that one. That is known as whaling. Similarly, if someone targeted someone, then type of attack is known as spear phishing. These are certain attacks. Now, what is ransomware? I have talked in my earlier discussion that ransom is basically the amount taken to do certain kind of act. Now, what is ransomware? Someone will compromise your system's files and you want to get back those files. Then he will call you or email you that you have to transfer this much amount and your files will be transformed from the original format. We have compromised your security, your files are corrupted, your files are distorted. If you want to get back all your files, you have to send this much amount to this account or anywhere else. Any kind of mechanism they will adopt to get that amount from you, and then we will make your files readable. That is basically ransomware. The other is a backdoor. Backdoor is a hidden method of bypassing the authentication to gain access to your system, to your resources. Similarly, keyloggers is basically the softwares, the snippets which records every key punch on your keyboard is the keylogger. Rootkits, I have talked about that mostly the viruses fall under the umbrella of rootkit. Rootkit are advanced malware designed to hide malicious activities and maintain privileged access to a system while evading detection. That is rootkit. I have talked about denial of service and distributed denial of service. Now, let's another example of denial of service and distributed denial of service attack is about that you are running a e-commerce website, and there I think that let's suppose 1 lakh persons visit daily your website and they places order about 30 to 40,000. You are getting 30 to 40,000 orders from that website. Let's suppose that some hacker will compromise the system or a network of system. That compromised system is known as bot or zombie, and the network is known as the zombie army or botnet. These systems which are compromised, some hackers are now requesting different kind of products on your website. They have bombarded so many requests on your server that now your server is basically able to only handle let's suppose 1 lakh request, no more than 1 lakh. Now these zombie army and these botnets have engaged your server totally with them, but they are not earning anything. And in the end of the day, when you see that today the server was too busy requesting the clients, but there's no orders you have got so far. That is basically the denial of service attack to the genuine user, because the server was busy in fulfilling the request of the zombies. But the genuine user who want to purchase something from your e-commerce website was not fulfilled his request. He was unable to see the product. That is basically the denial of service. And when this attack is used using compromised computers, that is known as the denial of service, distributed denial of service attacks. So I think that vlog is too lengthy for you. Thanks a lot. Assalamu alaikum.